Good morning,
Good afternoon.
good evening, wherever you are on this amazing planet.
Amazing.
I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya
Welcome.
to being here.
In case you're unfamiliar with our style, we do tend to finish each other's sentences. And wow, if we are fortunate, we won't be going anywhere, trying to produce anything.
I won't be trying to fix you or change you or make you better. We have this bizarre idea that this moment is perfect exactly the way it is. Therefore,
Not being here is enough.
you are perfect exactly the way you are. So why should we bother to try to fix or change you into something we think you should be? I think this is so perfect that I'm having this conversation.
Yes.
Because I realize, as I say it, that there are people that I've dealt with recently who are perfect exactly the way they are, and I'm not going to try to fix or change them.
Yeah. It's funny how sometimes we have an idea about someone, about how they should be living their life. And it's very funny if you think about it, because most often we have ideas about how we should be living our lives and we don't live up to those ourselves. So why should other people conform to our ideas? It's kind of the do as I say, don't do as I do model.
Well, there's this amazing possibility, and that is the perfection of the moment. And that when you are in present time, in real time, there's nothing you need to do other than what you're doing. There's no way you need to be other than the way you are. And for most of us, that is inconceivable, rather than just allowing yourself to be you the way you are.
I want to go back to the point where you may have stopped listening.
I want to go back to listening, yes.
That was the point where Shia told you you were perfect, just as you are.
Right.
Most of us have those caveats. Oh, well, I'll accept for I got in a fight with.
Or accept I'm 15 pounds heavier than I think I ought to be.
We talked to Shia's rheumatologist recently. He has a form of rheumatoid arthritis, and he's been seeing her. We've been seeing her for many years. She looks great.
Really?
You can really tell. She was telling us how the COVID rates at the hospital were finally zero new patients being admitted. She looked very, very bright. And she was talking about the COVID-19 as in the 19-pound weight gain most people had. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I gained, but not 19 pounds, which just goes to show my internal dialogue about what is better and what is worse, what is right, is wrong, where I need to get to.
We'll go on whether you like it or not.
Whether you transform or not.
That's right. It's so strange. I was speaking to somebody, I think it was Dave Haynes up in Canada, and I was saying how, he was saying how his internal voice counts his steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that when I'm in the river fishing and I walk upstream, my internal conversation is counting the number of steps I take. It does it automatically. I find myself counting. So you can't do anything about that internal voice. You could listen to it.
You could include it.
And realize that it's not you.
Mm.
And then you have a choice in the matter of your life rather than a dictate from, over and over a long time ago. But let's go back to listening.
Okay.
See, for most of us, we filter what is being said through what we believe to be true or already know. And we either agree or disagree to what's being said in response to that filter that we look at life through. The things you know or believe to be true and the things you believe aren't. Our approach is to allow what another person has to say to come into you, and it won't hurt if you don't resist it. See, the other thing about listening is if you truly listen, which is allowing what's being said to come in without filtering it through whether you agree or disagree or already know it, it'll pull you into the current moment of your life. And it does that because no two things can occupy you at the same moment. So if you're listening, you cannot be thinking about you and what you need to do to improve you.
Or anything else. There was a moment a few moments ago where Shya said something. I noticed the mural of pictures in the video version, because we're doing this also on video as well as audio. And I recalled somebody came over today and remarked on how they found that beautiful. It just flashed through. And in the moment I had that internal conversation,
You stopped listening.
I
to
missed
whatever-
a
Yes.
couple of words. Now, we all have a little receptacle somewhere in there that can often hold on to a few words and jump back in and grab
It's
them.
kind of like RAM memory on a computer.
It is
I
like RAM
imagine.
memory. But so if you find that happens for you, that you skip off somewhere, the moment you're back, the moment you notice it, you're already back. So you don't need to do the berate yourself thing. You don't have to do anything. It's really about being you and noticing how you're being without judging what you see. How about-
That's our technology in a
let's
nutshell.
Take our guest, Sandy.
Sandy, where are you, dear?
Hi, I'm in Rome, Italy at the moment.
What are you doing in Rome, Italy at the moment?
I'm working. I was just going to say, I'm running. I'm
You're-
working.
What do you
What are
do
you
for
running
work?
at?
My mind was already running so fast about my question of don't just do something, stand there. And it's so funny that that was just when I read that, that said, Sandy, you got a call in there. That's just for you.
So what is your question?
So my question is, the work that I'm doing here is editing, and at the beginning
What kind of editing?
of film, it's a show. It's 8 episodes. I'm doing 4 of them. And it's international, and it's pretty exciting. It's fun.
Good.
And but I stress myself at the beginning. Usually when there's a lot of material there, I see the large amounts of what there is to do, and I don't take a breath and sort it out. I just start working at it. And sometimes I feel
Well, let's slow down a little bit, my dear. What if you're not doing it wrong? You've been a film editor for how long?
almost 30 years.
Haven't you won an award or two?
Nope, been nominated.
Aha.
Okay,
So
well-
you think you got to make a change in order to get it to
well-
happen.
Well, yes, but maybe your way of going about it has worked for you.
See, I
See,
wouldn't start from
the-
the idea that you're doing it wrong.
Your internal conversation is that you're doing it wrong. But my dear, I've known you for a long time now, and you used to believe you were doing your life wrong.
All
The time.
All the time, yeah.
So now if it's stressed at the beginning of a project, that's pretty darn good. And here's the thing, if you recognize that when you start a project or you open up a file and you see there's a lot of content to be handled, and your immediate reaction is the conversation that goes with that. For instance, when we were putting together Costa Rica 2022, we activated the back end of the site we had for 2021 that got canceled because clearly nobody was going anywhere due to COVID. And I realized that there were many links and lots of changes I needed to make. And my initial thought had nothing to do with the reality of the project at hand. It was like, oh, this is a lot. This is more than I expected. Oh, it's going to take a lot to do those kind of conversations. You can either try to change that conversation, get away from that conversation, or notice it. That's your starting place when it happens. And you can include it and set it aside. And it was actually so much easier than that thought process expected. Similarly, I imagine when you get involved in editing something, it's so much easier than that thought process expects.
Yes, it is. It's much better. My thought process is at the beginning, often I'm not good enough. They're going to fire me. I should do better. I mean, there's a whole, and it's really strong. And
Well, yeah, but that you have that everywhere. That internal conversation says the same things over and over again. It's been saying it for years, and yet you don't get fired from the jobs you're on. You earn your living. They like your work enough to invite you back to do more. So maybe you could bypass that internal conversation that tells you how bad you are.
Yeah.
You put it together when you were a child, probably around age 2, when you started using the English language and the German language, because you're bilingual at least, having both American and German parents.
Yeah.
And so you've got it in 2 languages. That's pretty wild.
That's true.
Does it come at you in 2 languages?
It depends on the situation. There's situations where it's English. Right now I'm working with an English director. So
now it's English.
It's more English. In my imaginary, his voice. And
wow, you're talented. You can berate yourself in more than one language.
Yeah, but it's gotten so much less, and it's actually I feel so this week. Maybe it's because I signed up for this or I planned on coming to this call today, that it just relaxed this week.
Well, that makes sense, because here you decided, or you chose, or committed to being part of this podcast. Don't just do something, stand there, which is really about simply being here and taking a breath. And taking a breath isn't really a do. If you stand there long enough, the breath is going to take itself. That's kind of the nature of being alive. And everything takes care of itself. And
well, I have an analogy. Have you ever gone to the doctor's office and you're sitting there thinking how to tell the doctor about your situation, your condition, and in your thinking about it and describing it to yourself, it disappears?
Yes.
Well, that's the third principle of instantaneous transformation. Anything you see and allow it to be exactly as it is, in this case described, completes itself in that moment. So you've been thinking about having this conversation with us, and the thinking about it itself was enough for it to start to dissolve the internal conversation.
Yeah, I actually had to look, what is it that I'm doing or that's happening, and so I could describe it to you, and then it just softened away. It was like Monday morning felt so much easier. I wasn't annoyed with other people, with my colleague. I wasn't annoyed with the material. I just did my work.
You know, it's wild. I'm listening to your voice and it sounds very familiar to me. And why it sounds familiar is I've been watching America's Got Talent with Ariel, and Heidi Klum is one of the judges on that. And her intonations and yours are very, very similar.
The German.
But
But
it's
English, her
but
English is
her
so
English is so
perfect.
perfect, as is yours. But there's a turn of phrase or a way you
Or
use
the
it.
influence of your background.
Right. It's very interesting.
That's fun. Yeah.
It is.
Cool.
Actually, Sandy, you are fun.
I want to talk about for a moment, yes, you are, that the annoying material. So when you're annoyed, the material seems annoying, your coworker seems annoying, the project itself, your boss, whatever. I was editing something recently. Somebody wrote a blog post and for to put up on the Transformation Made Easy site. And they did it to the best of their ability, and then they hit a place where they hit a blank wall. I can't figure out how to make this better. It doesn't flow right. It's not quite what I want to say. Could you take a look at it? The idea of editing it was annoying. The reality was refreshing. Annoying happens, when you're upset, but alternately, when you're not really engaged in what you're doing yet.
Or when you see what you're being requested to do as an interruption in what you want to do. As though it's not your idea to do it, it's being put upon you from outside.
And then when I actually took the document, put it on my desktop, I set it aside because I was in the midst of something, and I set up a time to do it. And then when I opened it and fully put my heart in it, as Shya was saying, as my idea, there's not a trace of annoyance because I'm doing
what she wants to do, rather than it's put on you from outside. And regarding your editing, you love editing.
I do.
Shaking your head doesn't work.
I do. Yeah. I really, I often tell myself I don't. I should be doing something more out,
Well, let's start with the inaccuracy of your statement, because that'll make things a lot easier. You said, I often tell myself that I don't, but the I that's saying that isn't you. It's a conversation you listen to, and you call it you. Your internal dialogue is not a human being.
Yeah.
You are.
I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Shya went out fishing, and I sat at the computer and handled projects for 6 or 8 hours. I mean, I got up, had a meal. I wasn't static there for 8 hours. But for me, handling all the disparate things, the different projects, so things got up to date and getting our emails up to date, that was fun. Had I said, oh yeah, forget all that, I'll do it another day, I'm going to go out fishing with you, it would have been less fun. I enjoy, quote, working. It's not work if you put yourself into it. Doesn't mean at the end of the day, I wasn't pretty tired. It was so funny. I woke up and all of our dinner dishes were gone. And so was Shya. I had fallen asleep and he had picked everything up and taken it off and cleaned the kitchen and all that. I was fully unaware of it. So that was fun too.
So cool. Yeah. I love that. In my life, I don't have preferences like chores or not chores, or being with you guys has just been so that way of living and being is so contagious, and it's miraculous. I just, every now and then when I put myself under pressure to be really, really good at what I'm doing, I start these stories going.
Well, again, Sandy, you say when I put myself under pressure,
Right.
it isn't you. It's a mechanical device that talks at you and says certain things to you, but you're the one who's listening. And as you said, it is miraculous to live your life like it's your idea. You don't have to berate yourself for being you. You're perfect the way you are. I'm not a religious person, but God created you in her image.
Yeah.
And what kind of God would create an imperfect image of themselves?
Very cool. Yeah, I
hope that
yeah,
wasn't too sacrilegious, but what the hell?
Pun intended.
Pun intended, of course.
The other thing, Sandy, is I only pressure myself to do more, be more. There's two aspects to it. One is when I've somehow lost myself and I want, say, if I want you to like me and I've lost myself, I don't know who I am in that moment, I might, try to be more, do more in order to get you to like me. The other possibility is this, and it's really warming up for us now that we're doing the creativity and intuition seminar. We got an email not too long ago from somebody who was telling us something I hadn't heard from her before. She said she was feeling ugly, shy, not bold enough, self-conscious, stupid. And she was a teacher, a theater teacher. And it was the week before her students were going to do their first public performance. And they felt fat and stupid and self-conscious and shy and not good enough, and like people didn't like them, and so we said, has it ever occurred to you that as the teacher, you're hearing all of this conversation and it's information, and it might be information that you can say, Sandy, you look beautiful, as opposed to Sandy's internal conversation, this isn't yours, but I don't think that you've gained too much weight and you're going to be embarrassed to dance in front of your parents.
No, I don't have that. But the other two things you said are both accurate. I do want to be liked. These are new people, and I want them to like me, and I want them to like my work. And I also see that there's people around me that are insecure as well. And I tend to pick that up too.
Well, they may want whoever is the producer to like their work.
Mm-hmm.
And the producer may want the network to like their work. We all have, you can hear all of it. And if you don't make yourself wrong for having that conversation and you include it, you give everybody around you permission to be okay with themselves.
That's a bunch of richness there opening up. Thank you, guys. Serious, yeah, really. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Treat having you with us today.
Yes, dear.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty then. Drum roll, please. You sound like our cat. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight while Shya is here purring with me. We get to hear from one of our listeners
about how transformation has impacted their lives. And if you'd like to learn more or register for any of our upcoming courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
Yeah.
And when I say easy, it's like the fire swamp.
Yeah, join us.
If you know your way through it, it's easy. If you have a good guide, it's easy. If you don't, well, there's rodents of unusual size. There's lightning sand.
Oh,
What's
all
the other
those.
thing?
I don't remember.
Oh, and the fire spurts.
There you
Right.
go.
There you go.
We're great
Transformation made easy.
.com.
This is Andrea from Basel in Switzerland. And before I found Transformation, Ariel and Shya came in this amazing community, I felt pretty isolated in the world. I felt like there was no fun in my life, or that I could not ever have a happy life. And when I found Transformation and learned the skill, for instance, of listening, I felt a connection to people, and I still feel it to this day, and it gets deeper and deeper with every day. And I'm so grateful that I can feel this human connection that I have with all the people around me. It's such a brilliant gift.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
If you'd like to join us for Creativity and Intuition,
It's this weekend coming up.
and then in September, the next course we're offering is called
Simplicity
It's on the 25th and 26th.
of September.
We have regular Mondays, Saturdays, and once a month we have a Tuesday evening in the European time frame, Living Made Easy seminars. You're welcome to come to any or all. You can find all the information about it
On our website, transformationmadeeasy.com. It doesn't have a ha-ha in it.
By the way, I know you just heard the listener spotlight in the between these two segments, and if you would ever like to submit one yourself, just go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how.
Okay.
Shall we take our next guest?
Absolutely.
All right, Adam, welcome to being here.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Tell the listeners where you're zooming in from.
I'm zooming in from Madison, New Jersey.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What can we do for you, sir?
Thank you. I really like the topic today. Don't just do something, stand there, because I often find myself that there are times where I'll build like a mental list of the things that I need to get done or want to get done, and then I'll just get tense and stressed, and then I find that I'm less effective. And so I guess my question is how do I recognize it or recenter myself?
Well, you know something and you've been around this a long time, Adam.
Yes.
When have we ever told you how to do anything?
Oh, never, unless it's
Really, I mean, we don't tell you how to do anything. And that would see, here's the deal, my dear. We hold you as a genius.
In fact, you worked at Apple. I don't know if you worked at the Genius Bar, but you are one.
We do hold you that way, rather than the way you hold you as somehow less than perfect.
yes.
And that includes putting everything in a mental list to stress yourself with.
Because it served a purpose. Stressing yourself allows you not to have to do things perfectly and blame it on your stress. You know, it's very interesting, the title, don't just do something, stand there. Well, I notice when I go fishing in a stream, the first thing I do when I get there is stand there and look to see if I can see a feeding trout that I'm going to try to catch, rather than just cast a line blindly, which I sometimes do, but the way I like to fish is to look at who's active in the stream and then set myself about catching that fish. So it's very specific. It's not a random deal at all. It's a matter of looking and seeing and then interacting with my environment, the river, to approach that fish in a way that I don't spook it and present the fly to it in a way that it thinks it's a real meal.
Yes.
You have a strategic mind. And so it, like particularly like if you're building, say, a database or a website, you're strategically working out to see if I go this direction, will there be a place where it will fail? Will this work going out? I'm sure you have strategies. You had strategies around dating. They were just, you're strategic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I loved about the COVID pandemic and being home was that I could relax around my strategic mind. And one of the ways it showed up for me was around getting dressed. Because when we did courses on Monday nights, or we did in New York City, and we'd have to go there, we'd have to plan the time to leave, we'd have to get our clothes, and what's the weather? Is it going to rain? Do I have shoes? Do I have to swap things up? There's always that forward thing, and then packing for trips and whatnot. And so I would often plan the week before. And it was a very interesting thing to watch myself wanting to plan, even if I was going to be home by myself or by myself with Shya, and ultimately by myself with a cat who really doesn't care whether I wear clothes or what I wear, to notice that I wanted to make those plans, or it wanted to make those plans, using what Shya was saying to Sandy, that voice that says, I wonder what I should wear, isn't me, that I could let that go, walk in the closet the next morning and look and see what I wanted to put on. And now, as things have opened up and we are actively doing things, I'm finding I don't have to pre-plan what I'm going to say to Adam prior to getting here, sitting down and being with Adam and listening to what Shya has to say, listening to what Sandy has to say. You come on, and now it's the moment. There's the possibility, Adam, that things could simplify for you. But it also involves potentially trusting yourself that you're already good at what you do, that you don't need improving, and that by simply being here, you're enough.
Mm.
You said that beautifully.
Yes.
It really, because before you said what you said, I was thinking that those words.
That he's simply being here is enough.
Simply being here is enough. Well, what's interesting is this, just before this program, Ariel told me that the bonefish guide that we use down in the Bahamas
is booked on the dates we wanted to go.
And so in the interim, while she was talking, if I let my mind, it would go off to, well, we could go to another fishing lodge. And then it started categorizing all the things I would need: rods, different lines, different flies.
That's that strategic mind.
That's
that
right.
planning
So
thing.
I have that too. It's just different with me. Yours is much more detail oriented. Mine is detail oriented about specific things.
I've noticed that when we go for a walk, if my mind goes off, it's about work. If his mind goes off, it's about fishing flies. But it's still off. It's still not right there.
Yeah. Yes.
And the game is to forgive yourself
For being you.
for having a mind that goes off and bring yourself back to what's happening in this moment.
Okay.
So you asked for tips. There's a tip. I didn't even realize I was giving it to you, but I did.
I also want to.
Before you say more, I just wanted to go back to your initial statement about how sometimes you have lots of different things to do and your mental list stresses you. What if that's not a problem? What if that's a solution to something?
Probably, yeah.
Well, I didn't make it as an assertion. I said, what if it is?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, during the day, that's probably the time where I might take a break or like after work, it's when I'm being with my boyfriend and, you know, hanging out and watching TV or something like that.
Yeah, you know, being stressed for a lot of people is a lot easier than intimacy.
Yeah.
You know, most people think, when I get my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my husband, wife, whatever, or kid, then my life will be complete. And then you find all the challenges around being with that person.
Yes.
Not because there's anything wrong in your relationship or anything wrong with you, but because simply being with another has some complications. Your cat is standing up now. Hi,
Oh yeah,
kitty.
she was napping.
It's saving you from Ariel.
That's right.
Thank you. I cannot put her away, so.
She's sweet.
Thank you. This has been helpful. I also just wanted to highlight something Shya said, which was just the, I think you said, stressing yourself out is an excuse so it can be less than perfect. Or or it's okay to make a mistake. Which is also.
Well, it is okay to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you'll fix it.
What if there are no mistakes? What if everything is on purpose? What if you can't do it wrong?
Like before this episode recording, I got an email from somebody. I was so excited. I wrote them back. And then they registered for the Creativity and Intuition Week. And I was like, oh, so great. Looking forward to seeing you. And then I saw in a different email, they had written to us. So I read the email. It was really lovely. I wrote back, oh, I wrote you before I read this. And then I hit send. So I didn't have a conversation about what she had written to us. So in my mind, that's a mistake. But because there was no salutation, there was no bye. However, it was information. I'm moving a little fast. I'm trying to get stuff done rather than just letting that be, letting it stand, not doing anything. I put in that one last thing before being here with you, and it was just a little short. That person is going to have no problem with either email. But it was notable to me. It was information. Your world gives you information all the time. When you're getting slightly off center, you're getting slightly ahead of yourself, or you're lost slightly in the past. And it's this game, it's this dance. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just got an image of when I was a kid. My parents got me a pogo stick.
Uh-huh.
And the pogo stick has a
spring in it.
A spring in it. It had 2-foot
pedals
and handlebars, and you jump. And so the idea was to jump it really high, but if you went this way, you kind of jumped and fell over, and this way you jumped and fell on your back. So if you were off center, I jumped on that thing until I wore it out. That was so much fun.
I'm glad you did.
But it's like life, you know, you get a little off center, you fall on your face or you fall on your butt. Anyway, that was just whole lot of nothing, but it was a good image for me. Thanks for being with us today.
Yes.
Adam, it was fun.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I love listening to your shows and I love calling in.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. We're happy that you love both.
Yes.
If you would like to be a listener on our show, you can go to the same place to find out how to be a listener spotlight. I'll tell you what it is again. Thank you. transformationmadeeasy.com/being here, and you can find out how. We'd be happy to schedule you to be a caller. Next week's episode
Is listening your way to the moment.
Mm.
That's a good one. I like that.
We'll be back next week.
So come on back and don't miss
Being
being
here.